Today, in our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast, we are going to complete the Psalms of Ascent. We're going to look at 4 Psalms, starting with Psalm 131 and going through 134. These are short Psalms. They're not as in-depth as some of the others, and so we can move through this relatively quickly. In Psalm 131, this is a prayer concerning David. David writes this, but David is attributed to writing 4 of the Ascent Psalms, for the 15, Solomon 1, and the others we don't know. But he says here, O Lord, my heart is not proud, nor my eyes haughty, nor do I involve myself in great matters, or of things too difficult for me. He is not saying here that he doesn't think deeply, either theologically, spiritually, politically. He's not saying he's trying to be simple. He's simply saying there's some things that he cannot unravel. In verse 2 it says, Surely I have composed and quieted my soul like a winged child rest against his mother. My soul is like a winged child within me. O Israel, hope in the Lord, from this time forth and forever. So his point here is that, there's some things better left to God. There's some things we can't unravel. There's mysteries we don't know about God, about life, about ourselves. And so of those types of things, he says, my soul is content to leave those to God, and I will turn that over to him and rest in him. In Psalm 132, as he moves on in here, this is a psalm concerning the temple, David wants to build a temple for the Lord. And so it says here in verse 5, for example, or verse 3, Surely I will not enter my house, nor lie in my bed. I will not give sleep to my eyes, or slumber to my eyelids, until I find a place for the Lord, a dwelling place for the mighty one of Jacob. That's David's kind of verbiage for wanting to build a house or a temple for the Lord. But you recall the Lord said, No, you will not build this temple for me. Your son Solomon will. So now the temple has been built, and the pilgrims travel up to Jerusalem to celebrate the feast at the temple, the house of God. Verse 8, Arise, O Lord, to your resting place, and your ark, and the ark of your strength. So the ark is located at the temple, and he is speaking of that. But in verse 11, we know that David wanted to build a house for the Lord, and the Lord said no. But God says, I will build a house for you. The Lord has sworn to David a truth from which he would not turn back. Of the fruit of your body I will set upon your throne. If your sons will keep my covenant and my testimony, which I will teach them, their sons also shall set upon your throne forever. For the Lord has chosen Zion. So the Lord would not let David build him a house, but the Lord built a house for David. This is the Davidic covenant. God's promise to David that his descendants would sit on the throne of Israel and on David's throne, and they would do so. Now, when they lived in sin, when they turned against the Lord, they would go into exile, and there wouldn't be a perpetual time when David's descendants sat on the throne. But ultimately and eventually, there will be those sitting on David's throne. Christ himself will ultimately sit on David's throne and rule during the kingdom age. In Psalm 133, we have this beautiful verse, Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell in unity. It's like the precious oil upon the head coming down upon the beard. This is a beautiful picture of unity and how wonderful it is when God's people are united together in unity and getting along. Now, it should be that way. Think of the pilgrims are all going up to Jerusalem to worship the same God at the same place during the same feast. But as we know, harmony is not automatic. And even among those who love the Lord, there can be disharmony and lack of unity. How precious, how wonderful, what a joy it is when we experience unity with one another. And this is a verse of Scripture that can be applicable not only to the ancient Jews during this time, but also to all Christians of all ages, including our ages in our church right now. Unity is precious. And then he closes out the Psalms of Ascent with 134, Behold, bless the Lord, all servants of the Lord who serve by night in the house of the Lord. Lift up your hands to the sanctuary and bless the Lord. May the Lord bless you from Zion, he who made heaven and earth. So we have here now a blessing pronounced upon those who serve in the house of the Lord. They serve by day and by night. So these are probably the priests, the Levites, and different ones, the singers and so forth, that serve the Lord in the house of the Lord. And so as the pilgrims went up to Jerusalem, they would be ministered to by this group of people. And the psalmist closed, this section of Psalms, this collection of Psalms, closes with a particular blessing upon them. So these are the Psalms of the Ascent. I trust they've been a blessing to you.